So today I want to talk about eating disorders and vegetarianism. This is a topic that really plays close to my heart just because I've been a vegetarian for 3 years now, and I've only just recently started eating vegetarian food because it had gotten so intertwined, with my eating disorder that it was like the fact that I became a vegetarian was an act of defiance in a sense because I felt that, that cuts out one whole food group. Like I can easily get rid of that. And yet, when I met with the nutritionist over the summer, she was saying how if I want to live a vegetarian lifestyle, I have to actually eat vegetarian food. I can't just get rid of it because, protein is like in meat and I don't eat meat and, I don't need it, or whether it be anything. It can be vegetarianism, it can be veganism, it can be lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, or saying that you're lactose or gluten intolerant, not actually being. But any lifestyle like that you're choosing to live that may be getting intertwined with your eating disorder is so important to look at because you still need those nutrients. You need the source of starch that comes from carbohydrates in order to break down glucose for long-lasting energy. You need protein in order to build muscles and to function on a regular basis. You need liquids in order to work your system and to cleanse out your whole digestive system, but also clear your veins of any congestion or cholesterol that might be building up there, and different things like that. And kind of seeing how it's so important to actually commit to living a vegetarian lifestyle. I read an interesting statistical in an article actually that I'll post down below. But it's very interesting because it was an article presented by the Huffington Post, and they talk about how out of the population of people who have had eating disorders, 52% of them have become vegetarian or lived a vegetarian lifestyle at one point in their life, meaning that they cut out food groups, and because of their eating disorders, they got so intertwined so that they weren't able to rationalize and think right and actually eat, and do whatever and have the nutrients that they need. Whereas out of the rest of the population, the people who've never been affected by eating disorders, only 12% have considered becoming vegetarianisms and considered becoming vegetarians. And I think it was another interesting thing, I'll post it down below, but the University of Michigan did a study, and it's teenagers who are vegetarian most likely have eating disorders or disordered eating patterns because, yes, there are those individuals who do want to live and they want to, protect the animals, or they, for health reasons, feel healthier when they do it, or they just don't like the taste of meat and they really feel it's a better lifestyle for them. But for so many people, it's just a gateway. You just slip into it and you're like, okay, I can go to a party and say, oh, I can't eat that because it has meat in it, and you limit yourself so much, which is why I think that it's so important to have cookbooks that you can have, and even a homemade cookbook, which is kind of my suggestion to you guys. I went to Barnes & Noble's and I got a lovely journal, if you guys can see, and what I did with this book is it's not that thick, so it's really easy to use, but I'm compiling all different types of vegetarian recipes in here so that when I go to college, when I'm out on my own, I don't have 6 books I'm lugging around and there's 2 recipes in this one and 7 in this one and whatever. It's this book is the recipes that I know I like because I'm compiling it. And one thing that I did was I broke it up into sections, so you have entrees, but I also have soups, salads, desserts, appetizers, all that loveliness. But I'm even going to the extent of posting pictures of what it looks like and the ingredients and the directions and how you make it. And going to that extent, I think, is so important because so many times if we just see words on paper of how to make it, we're like, oh, that's too much work, I don't want to do that, whatever. But if we see a picture, it can actually kind of trigger those oh, I really want that, that looks yummy, and even knowing that it is simple and easy to cook or bake or broil or whatever it may be. So I think it's so important to have a book like this that you can readily have accessible, with ingredients and the recipes and pictures, because you need to take care of yourself, and living a lifestyle of vegetarianism, gluten-free, lactose intolerant, all of that loveliness, veganism, you have to be willing to actually eat those foods, as comical as it may sound. And so one thing that I think is really important is also networking and talking to different people about vegetarian recipes, and kind of getting the word around. So if any of you actually have vegetarian recipes that you care to share, send them my way. You can inbox me, message them below, whatever. But like, there's a woman at my yoga who she's vegetarian, and she actually gave me a book. It is Vegetarian Soups for All Seasons. And so like, even just getting books like this from people who may have vegetarian cookbooks, you can borrow it, they can give it to you, whatever. Just talk to them, get different recipes, whether it be, actually you can just go to a library, you could go to a bookstore and check out books, but having cookbooks that you can peruse, like vegetarian, and being able to just look through and go, oh, you know, this looks good and this doesn't. And one thing that I like about like this type of cookbook is that it like breaks it down to the extent where it like shows you each picture of like what it should look like along the way. And so I think that's really helpful, but that's just my input. But I think it's so important to get resources like these and pull from them. I can look through both these books and maybe find like 10 recipes max that I really love and really want to live in my life, and I love them so much, you know. And that's why it's important to have a book like this, because out of the two, this one is so much lighter and it actually has recipes that I want in it. And so I think it's so important to do that, to recognize that you have to take care of yourself, and taking care of yourself, you have to make sure that you're getting the nutrients that you need, because if you don't eat protein, you're not going to have strong muscles. You won't be able to function and walk and work as well as you could. And if you don't have liquids, you won't be able to cleanse out your system and kind of get that refreshing feeling. You won't be able to have long-lasting energy if you're not eating carbohydrates. If you're dairy-free, you won't be gaining the calcium, and you may develop osteoporosis. And just like things like that, where it's like you need to take your health into concern. And I know how difficult it is to be like, you know, I'm gonna live a vegetarian lifestyle and I'm just gonna like whatever, and like everything's gonna be brilliant. Like there are days when I honestly like I don't want to make vegetarian food today. I don't want to eat. Like it's just that overwhelming feeling. But the thing is recognizing that your health has to be the first and foremost thing, because you can't go out, you can't function, you can't do anything without fueling your body. It's like expecting a car to run on empty, as we always say in therapy. I think that's one of the biggest analogies. It's like your body is like a car and you need to fuel it. And food is fuel. And if you're not putting in the right fuel, you won't be able to get as far as you would and be able to function as well as you would if you were actually having that positive food. So I think that's my lovely input on vegetarianism and eating disorders. I think that if you yourself are vegetarian, gluten-free or intolerant-free or vegan or any type of lifestyle like that, I really call you to question who's speaking. Is it me who wants that? And am I actually making efforts to live that lifestyle? Or is it my eating disorder who's saying, you know, let's just say you're a vegetarian so you don't have to eat protein. Let's just say you're lactose intolerant so dairy's out of the question. And kind of reasoning it in that way. So that's kind of some food for thought in a way. So I have two things before I'm gonna go. The first thing, again, if you have vegetarian recipes, send them my way, because I am looking for vegetarian recipes and I could love to see what you guys have. Absolutely anything would be acceptable. Yeah, so send them my way and I'll try them, and if I do, then I'll make a video about it and I'll give you guys credit. But the other thing is, I've already gotten a few submissions so far, but my two friends are absolutely incredible, and they said that they're going to answer questions about what it's like knowing me and knowing somebody who has an eating disorder, and knowing like what it's like going through treatment, and like with me, you know, like because they don't have eating disorders, it's like what are their perspectives on me, and when I said that I have an eating disorder, what went through their mind, like things like that. Were they challenging it? Were they questioning it? You know, are they there to support me? How much do they get? How much do they understand? Like things like that. They want to know what questions you guys want to hear. If you have any thoughts that are running on your mind and you're like, I want to ask my friend and I don't know how she feels about this, I will ask my friends and they're gonna make this video with me, and it's just awesome. So send in your questions. The ones that we've gotten so far are brilliant, but please keep sending in questions. Don't bother like worrying if your question is going to sound stupid or lame. Like if you have a question that you really want to know the answer to, like my friends are incredible, they'll answer it. So if you want to know like how come you didn't notice, like because it's such an obvious disorder, like I'll ask them, you know, like it can be literally anything. So send in questions, please. they really are amazing people, and they are just so insightful, and I think that having them kind of give a witness of what it's like will help you in your own life and stuff. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope that you guys are well, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.